5 days ago, in Phoenix, a 17-year-old walked out of the Xfinity US Gymnastics Championships as the national champion on uneven bars, an apparatus that carries an enormous weight in the sport's history, tied to one of the most iconic moments gymnastics has ever seen. Her name is Claire Pease. She trains at a well-known Texas academy with deep roots in the sport, under a coaching staff shaped by generations of elite gymnastics history. That's the lineage Pease is training inside of, on the exact apparatus that carries so much significance in this sport. Just 5 days before this video was made, Pease stood on a podium, tied for the national lead, and walked away with a title that instantly connected her to one of gymnastics' most legendary moments. We'll get to how she actually earned that title in Phoenix, 5 days ago, in real time. First, you need to know where this all started, with a military family, a recreational gym, and absolutely no plan for any of what came next. Claire Elizabeth Pease was born on January 5, 2009, in Honolulu, Hawaii, while her family was stationed there with the U.S. military. There was no gymnastics tradition in the household, no Olympic ambition mapped out before she could walk, just a military family relocating the way military families do every few years, moving from post to post without the luxury of settling anywhere permanently, eventually landing in the Dallas area, where young Claire enrolled in recreational gymnastics classes at a local gym, the way millions of American kids do every year, most of whom never go further than a Saturday morning class before moving on to another activity entirely. My journey to falling in love with gymnastics began after I enrolled in recreational classes, Pease later said. I learned the skills quickly and was always ready to move to the next level. I was inspired by the competitiveness of the sport, and I loved the idea that you could continually learn and achieve new skills. That was the entire origin story, a kid who picked things up fast and wanted more of them, with no elite pipeline, no family legacy, and no scout watching from the sidelines, pulling her forward toward anything bigger than the next class up. In 2021, Pease became part of USA Gymnastics' development pathway for its most promising young talent, the pipeline designed specifically to identify future national team members years before they're old enough to compete internationally, and a program that has quietly produced a large share of the country's senior elite roster over the past decade. She competed at a national development meet and won gold on all 4 apparatuses en route to the all-around title, a complete sweep against the country's best gymnasts in her age group, the kind of dominant showing that gets a young gymnast noticed by coaches and selection committees far beyond her own local gym. The following month, at a follow-up National Development Championship, she did it again, gold on vault, balance beam, and floor exercise, plus the all-around title, and a silver on uneven bars. Her all-around score finished a full 2 points ahead of the field, a genuinely lopsided margin at that level of competition. That January, she was invited to attend the women's national team camp for the first time, a real signal that USA Gymnastics itself was now watching her development closely, tracking her as a legitimate future prospect rather than just another name in a crowded junior field. Drop a comment below. Did you know Claire Pease was sweeping national development titles years before most casual fans had ever heard her name? At the 2022 Winter Cup, Pease finished 5th on vault and 8th on balance beam. Solid, competitive results, but a clear step down from the total domination she'd shown at the development level, exactly the kind of adjustment period every gymnast goes through, moving up a level against older, more experienced competition. She continued competing through 2022 and 2023, officially beginning to represent the United States internationally in 2023, building a resume one meet at a time rather than arriving as a finished product overnight. Part of that stretch involved mastering a specific, difficult uneven bars release element, a skill she has directly credited as a turning point in her development on that apparatus, alongside learning to navigate the kind of physical setbacks that come with adding higher difficulty elements to an already packed routine. It was the long, unglamorous middle section of a career that most fans only ever see the highlight reel of, years of incremental progress that don't make headlines on their own, quiet seasons spent tightening execution and adding difficulty, but that make everything that comes later possible. By 2024, the work had compounded into something undeniable. At the 2024 US Junior Championships, Pease finished first in the all-around, first on uneven bars, and first on balance beam, sweeping 3 of the meet's biggest titles in a single weekend against the deepest junior field the country had to offer, a group that included several gymnasts who would go on to become senior national team members themselves within a year or two. At that year's national championships, she repeated the sweep: gold on uneven bars, gold on balance beam, gold in the all-around, and a 4th-place finish on floor exercise, the one event still lagging slightly behind the rest of her game, and the clearest area still left to develop before the jump to senior competition. She was officially the 2024 U.S. Junior National Champion, the culmination of 3 years of steady, deliberate progress since her earliest development level sweep, a title that put her name alongside every gymnast who'd ever held that exact distinction before eventually moving up to the senior ranks, a list that includes several past Olympians and world medalists. The highlight of my gymnastics career thus far is earning a spot on the U.S. national team, Pease said, reflecting on what that stretch of results actually meant to her, choosing to highlight the team selection itself over any individual title. It wasn't framed as an ending point. It was framed as proof that the next level, senior competition, international meets, a completely different kind of pressure, was now realistically within reach, no longer a distant hypothetical, but the next logical step in front of her. Pease became age-eligible for senior competition in 2025, and her transition opened with a mixed result: 10th in the all-around at the 2025 Winter Cup, but gold on balance beam in the event final, proof the talent was there even while the all-around consistency was still being built against a much older, much deeper senior field. Gymnasts with years more competitive experience than a 16-year-old still finding her footing at the new level. Her senior international debut came at a World Cup event in March, where she won a clutch of 4 medals, 1 gold and 3 silver, across her very first meet outside the United States, an emphatic statement for a gymnast still just 16 years old, competing against senior fields from across Europe and beyond for the first time in her career. She followed that with all-around silver at a major international meet in Italy that April, one of the most competitive early season tests on the entire international calendar. "I always focus on carrying my training mentality into the meet," Pease said of handling the nerves of that international debut. "It was an honor to be selected to represent the United States in a World Cup. I enjoyed being on the playing field." That July, at the U.S. Classic in Hoffman Estates, Illinois, 16-year-old Pease won her first domestic senior title outright on the final rotation, finishing with a 54.6, only the second senior rookie to win that meet in 17 years, joining a very short list of gymnasts who've managed a senior debut season that dominant, a list that includes future Olympians. But the rookie season wasn't a clean sweep from there. At the 2025 U.S. Championships the following month, Pease finished 10th in the all-around, a real step backward from the momentum she'd built all summer, and a sprained ankle then cost her a shot at the selection competition for that year's World Championships team entirely. A gymnast who looked like a lock for her first senior world team just weeks earlier finished the season on the outside looking in, watching from home as the country's team representative in Jakarta that October. Drop a comment below. Did you know Claire Pease missed her first shot at a senior world championships team due to an injury suffered right after winning her first domestic senior title? 50 years ago, almost to the summer, on this exact apparatus, one of the most legendary moments in the history of the sport took place, a moment so historic that it changed what the entire world believed was possible on uneven bars. Claire Pease just became the American national champion on that same event, half a century later, on a piece of equipment that has carried an outsized weight in the sport's history ever since. Pease trains at a Texas-based Olympic Gymnastics Academy under a highly respected coaching staff with deep ties to the sport's history. Pease has spoken openly about what actually carries her through moments like the one in Phoenix. "The biggest impact thus far on my gymnastics career would be my coaches," she said. "We spend so much time with our coaches, and often people forget about the sacrifices they make in coaching us. They might not do the skills I do, but they are at the gym the same amount of hours. They have just as much invested in my successes and achievements." Knowing that her coaches see something in her and that they believe in her is what keeps her working, she said, every day, pushing to train harder and to be the best version of herself she can be. She's already committed to continue her career at the University of Utah after her elite chapter winds down, a program known for producing some of college gymnastics' most decorated athletes. While her stated ambitions still point toward the biggest stage of all, with a spot on the U.S. senior national team already secured and a World Championship selection camp still ahead this fall in Crossville, Tennessee, Los Angeles 2028 sits on the horizon for a gymnast who was 10th at nationals just 12 months before becoming a national champion herself. In a sport where that kind of turnaround almost never happens this fast. Does Claire Pease turn this national uneven bars title into a spot on the Olympic team 2 years from now? Drop your prediction in the comments. I read every single one. If this story hit you the way it hit me, hit subscribe, because Claire Pease's story is only just getting started.